Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Welcome back. We just had the first key data of this week. That was PPI, and that is producers inflation. So not consumers but producers, because consumers is CPI. And the consensus was that the inflation for the producers would go up slightly. However, surprise, surprise, it came down. So they thought it would be 0.3% gain, but it fell 0.1%, and therefore you see a little bit of an uptick here in the markets. So that's good news, and also the standard markets are going up. You can also see it here in Forex Factory, where you see all kinds of key data. However, all eyes on the price, and that is tomorrow when we have CPI data. This one is super important. There also the forecast is that inflation will go up from 2.7 to 2.9. However, now I'm slowly starting to think that this is probably not the case, since the producers inflation and also came down instead of going up. So this consensus also might be wrong, and that would also be great news for crypto, for standard markets and whatnot, because everyone then knows that a rate cut in next week, so that's the 17th of September, is pretty much a given. The question now is, how much is that going to be? 0.25% or 0.5%? And good key data could be then a trigger to lower the interest rate with 0.5%. With that being said, let's go to the chart, because I have still some interesting setups for you. If you missed the last video, this is kind of what we were looking at also a couple days ago. BTC here on the 1 hour, and I said, well, we have these terrible lows. I think at some point we are going to take them out. I'm pretty sure of that. But in the meanwhile, we also made here a lot of grinding structures. Also on the TPO chart, this just looks terrible. So I'm pretty convinced that at some point we are going to take this out. But I also said that I'm looking for longs. I've said that already a couple days now, more than a week in a row. You can go back into the YouTube videos. I said I am looking for higher. And although price goes very slowly, I think we're still going higher. I first had a short. There was this trade right here, actually pretty easy, because we first had a double high, but after yesterday it was even a triple high, and that is that we made a high here, then this high was ever so slightly lower, and guess what, yesterday the high was again ever so slightly lower. That's also, this was a little bit 50-50, because you had the low in the range, you're back testing it. So I also would not have been surprised if price nuked and took out all of these lows. So for me it was really 50-50 to say, are we going higher first or lower first? Although we have now micro SFP that level, I am not in this short yet, and the reason is as follows. New York goes open in approximately half an hour from now, and this was a news wick. So what I want to see is what will happen once New York opens. Now, although I said in the last video, I think that this trade is less likely, I am still in that camp. However, and I'm now zooming in here on the 15 minute. Let's say New York goes open, and in the first hour, 2 hours, we're seeing this another move up, taking out that pre-New York SFP, make a good quick SFP and then dump down. I am definitely going to take the trade, stop loss above the high and ride it to the downside. And of course the target has to be then the clear of all of these lows. I don't have to mark them again, so that could be a massive trade. Do I think it's super likely? No, because I think there's the market is still a bit too bullish. For that, I'm actually hoping for higher, and if you have missed it, I also marked this liquidity right here. There's a very much grinding structure. There's a lot of stop losses above these highs. So I also said in a previous video, once we are reclaiming this high and we're maybe getting a back test, it could even be along all the way up to 116, 117, where we have a couple of short trades. You're taking out the liquidity from these highs right here. We also have a CME gap approximately at 116, so there's actually quite a lot of juice above us. But I just want to make clear that I'm waiting for the reaction of New York to take that short from this level, but I think it is less likely, in that we are most likely going higher before we have a good opportunity to short. And of course all of these trades that I put out, they are still very much valid. So one is an S&P from the highs, then we have some weekend highs that lines up with the golden pocket. We have a pure liquidity level right here at 19k. Let me by the way just mention them all. So we have 117, 400, Then we have one from 118,640. Then we have one from 119,450, and then we have one from 120,500. Those are all short trades that I'm looking at. Would I long anything in here? Well, that trade that I just gave you, but then again I want to see it on New York, so a push higher, then of course a back test of that level, and then to go higher I will put my stop loss somewhere locally, and I will try to trade it at least to 117, that first short area, and this actually could be a very nice trade, and this could already play out today. This is actually not so tremendous, this range right here. Talking about 3.5%, so for BTC this is absolutely doable. Would we dump down, and let's say I am able to take that short, would I not long anything before these lows are being taken out? Yes. There is one scenario that I'm looking at that actually could be nice. Let's say we are getting a move down, we're taking the short, and then we are trading it to the downside. I would long a SFP from this level right here. Matter of fact, let me just mark it in exactly so that we have the exact price level. Whoops. There you go. So that will be 109,320. 109,320. If we are getting something super clear where we SFPing it, reclaim it, and then to go higher, I want to see some low time frame confirmations. For example, on a 5 minute, the 10 minute, the 15 minute, preferably bullish divergences, and of course it needs to be a clean sweep and reclaim of the level. So lower and then close the 5 or 10 minute candle above. I want to see the reclaim, and then I'm entering the long. However, I do think that that most likely would only be a scalp somewhere here and then eventually to roll over. Now, why am I still interested in this trade? Because then I have a short from the top and I have a long from the bottom. And eventually if price then goes higher, I can just move the stop loss to entry, maybe take some profits, and then eventually I would just let it play out. One will make me money for sure, the long or the short, and what eventually is going to be, I have no idea, but we'll see along the way, of course. And then I am hedged, so I have a long and I have a short from both key levels. Now, of course, if we were just dumped down and I'm in the short, yippee-ki-yay, good times, then I'm definitely targeting this. This is the only close by intermediate short that I'm looking at, and I want to see a clean sweep, very much preferred with bullish divergences on the smaller time frames. Again, this is the level of 109,320. So don't let that be a mistake with one of these lows right here or one of the earliest lows. It needs to be this level right here, 109,320. That's actually pretty much it for today and for this update. We still have so much key data coming out, like CPI, FOMC next week. There's a lot of data that can move the markets. The only last thing that I want to show you is that what I saw this morning when I did my TA is when I looked at the CVD and the open interest. And this is here on the 1 hour, so we're looking at a pretty long time frame all the way back to July. You can see that the CVD is coming down tremendously, and that the open interest slowly but surely is building up. So what is that telling us? Well, open interest going up, that means new positions are opening. CVD tells us if they are longs or shorts, and those are shorts in this case because it's just coming down and down and down and down and down. In other words, that could give us also a short squeeze to the upside. So don't be surprised if suddenly all of these shorts needs to close out, that this could suddenly turn into a massive move to the upside. And then yeah, we're looking at one of the top shorts. Principle says that that actually in itself is a pretty weak move, because those are then positions closing, right? The shorts need to close, therefore you're seeing a short squeeze, and it's not fueled by new positions opening, so new longs being opened in the market. That's just a very important key takeaway that I want to give you here. Doesn't have to say that it happens today, because again, we're here looking back all the way to July, so this has been building up already for many weeks, but it is something to note that this, what we're seeing right here, is unsustainable. You cannot just continue on with rising open interest and the CVD that just comes down and down and down and down and down. Eventually that needs to be calibrated, and then eventually you will see that short squeeze. So take that for what it is. If you like the content, then please do me a favor, like, subscribe, click on the bell, click on all so you don't miss anything. Leave me a comment and share this video with your friends if you think that's useful. Thank you guys so much. See you in the next one. Bye bye.